Good evening and welcome back to Sports Talk ATL. I am Chase Earl, joined by Alex Lord. The Braves got back to 500. And when looking at the numbers that they took to get here, as I was writing an article, go check it out at sportstalkatl.com. It was almost shocking that this team's won 21 of 35 games, which is a 97 win piece, and they've won 16 of their last 24 games, which is a 108 win pace. I mean, they've been spectacular of late, yet it really doesn't feel like that. And maybe it's just the offense and all these close games, and they haven't been playing the best competition lately, and they haven't been sweeping teams. But when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, we talked yesterday about, hey, what's it going to take? 80 wins over the next to win the NL East, 75 wins the rest of the way, 65 to get. Well, the pace that they have is actually to get 75, 80 wins the rest of the way, even though it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, and that's without
the offense hitting.
Well, I'd say a lot of facets, letting them down. And I think Rocio Iglesias, is not going to be this way for the entirety of the season. A lot of the offense, and it's not. It's guys that you expect to be carrying the offense that aren't contributing in a big way. So I think Braves fans should take it as like a a sign of light, or a light, kind of like at the end of the tunnel, where it's like the light at the end of the tunnel. We're talking about next, Ronald Acuña Jr. and Spencer Strider, and we're at this point. And Sean Murphy wasn't here for a little bit, and the pitching staff wasn't great for the first part. And the bats haven't been great for the latter part. So I think all in all, we haven't played anywhere close to our best baseball, and we're sitting pretty.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're 16-8, and at no point was I like, maybe there was a 7-game stretch there where the offense was looking good and the pitching was looking good, and you're like, all right, this is what it can look like, and we were excited about that. But for the most part, it seems rather inconsistent, and the offense scored 5 runs yesterday, thanks to a couple late in the ball game. But for the most part, it was another one of those games where they scored 2, 3, 4 runs, and it was a close game up until it wasn't. But we got to talk about the elephant in the room, and I think a lot of people are talking about it this morning, and it's that man, Drake Baldwin, who had a homer. He had 3 hits, a triple shy of the cycle. He's hitting .438 over his last 19 games. He has a 1,200 OPS, 4 homers. And what's crazy about it is his OPS for the season's up to a 939. But if you take away that batted ball luck that he had those first 6, 7 games when he was the full-time starting catcher, I mean, he easily could have had 2 or 3 more homers. I mean, he was 5 feet combined feet away from 2 or 3 more homers, 5 combined feet away from 4 or 5 more doubles. Like, he could have these numbers over basically the course of the entire season at this point. Still a relatively small sample size, but it's unbelievable.
Sample size at this level, but I mean, he's been hitting literally the exact same way for the last year, dating back to AAA. And again, there's a big difference between Major League pitching and AAA pitching. But I mean, this guy's approach at the plate hasn't changed. This guy's ability to go any direction of the field hasn't changed. He has no problem going oppo. He has power to go, hit home runs oppo. I mean, we saw it last night. He has the power, chop. He's going to be belting a lot, feels like, in the chop house. Like, everything that we have seen over the last year screams that Drake Baldwin is an elite major league hitter for any position, let alone a position like catcher. It's invaluable. I keep saying this kid's going to be a star. Well, he's not, because he already is one. Like, I am ready to declare it. There are some reasons, where some people are like, that's a tiny sample size. And you're right, it is a tiny sample size. But like, just watching him in the box, it's just different. It's different than a lot of guys who are, 30 games into their career.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how pitchers adjust, because that is definitely something that happens over the guys get off to fiery hot starts to their careers, and then the league starts to it happens to both pitchers and position players. But in order for him to go through some deep snide where he really struggles, he has to have like a very clear weakness. There has to be something that pitchers find that every pitcher can throw. Like, oh, he always swings at high fastballs. Oh, he always swings at these sliders down at his feet. Oh, he really can't hit this pitch. Like, this is an obvious cold zone. When I'm watching Drake Baldwin hit, he doesn't swing at pitches outside of the strike zone. He's very disciplined at the plate. He's willing to take his walks. He doesn't strike out very much. He's willing to go opposite way. He's willing to pull the ball. He takes whatever you give him, and he makes the most out of it. That's the kind of hitter where it's very hard to find this weak spot like you might find in Matt Olson when he's struggling, or Michael Harris when he's struggling. Like, he doesn't have a place where from just watching every single game where it's like, oh, that's going to be an issue once pitchers start to figure that out because he's so good and disciplined at the plate, and that's what gives you so much confidence. So the question is, Alex, and I know we've mentioned it, but I'm ready to declare it. They have to try him in left field. And it doesn't have to happen right now when Eli White's hitting the way he is, and you still want to see what Alex Verdugo can give you. And you can always go back to that guy, and obviously Jerks and Profar. But I'm thinking about this lineup with Drake Baldwin in left field and Ronald Acuña coming back. And you want to talk about offensive problems? Yeah, they'll be a thing of the past very, very quickly. And I don't know if he can do it, but I will say this. We tried Chipper Jones out there. We tried Austin Riley out there. We let Marcell Ozuna, 30 pounds overweight, flop around the outfield for 2 seasons as the left fielder. We let Jorge Soler play in the outfield. Give me a break. Like, give me a break that, we're too good. Like, they should and will do it, I believe, if he keeps hitting this way and, Eli White starts to struggle. It doesn't have to happen right now, but I am absolutely sold on the idea because as we like to talk about, and we say Drake Baldwin could DH, it would be much better if he wasn't a DH, if he could play another position. And this is a long-term issue because I don't want to get rid of Sean Murphy. Have you seen what these pitchers, this is not the best staff. There's a big reason why this staff is pitching the way that it has last year and this year. It's because of Sean Murphy behind the plate. The numbers with him back there are unbelievable. It's like a 3 ERA as a staff. You don't want to get rid of that guy. I don't care if he's not hitting, and he is hitting right now. So you got to find a way for both of them to coexist. And I would like it not to just be like, oh, he's the DH next year.
He's not also your typical catcher where like JT Realmuto is actually a threat on the base pass. Drake Baldwin is not JT Realmuto per se. He's closer to JT Realmuto than Sean Murphy, who looks like he's running with logs on his feet. Like, Drake Baldwin's got a little bit of speed. I would argue that out of the ordinary outfield options in terms of at least speed, and a lot more goes into it. We know he has an arm. You can't play the catcher position without an arm. So, there are facets of his game where you can kind of squint and go, maybe he could be a left fielder. And obviously there's nuances to it. But listen, Jorge Soler single-handedly cost Chris Sale like half of an earned run over like half of a season. He didn't even play the whole season with us. And you can't tell me that Drake Baldwin will be that bad, or Eddie Rosario. Eddie Rosario's arm is nothing. He has no more speed left. And obviously we DFA'd him, but just last year we're trotting him out there for a decent amount of games. And while the situation isn't as dire right now as it was last year, you might as well start flirting and experimenting at this point in the season rather than with your back against the wall in late July, August, September, and thinking, only if he had 50 more games under his belt in left field.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that we didn't see a little bit of it during spring training, and maybe the Braves could have never envisioned that he'd be this good this soon. But like, that would have been the ideal time to start getting him reps out there in case a scenario like this. So I'm surprised they weren't a little forward thinking in this process, and they didn't play him out there a good bit. But I guess they wanted to see if he'd make the roster and if he could catch and how he'd handle. I understand that.
Well, I'll say this. He surprised me behind the plate.
No.
And the reason why I put this out on Twitter about a week ago, and now I'll even reel it back a little bit, is Drake Baldwin's better at this point in their respective careers than William Contreras. We all love Wild Bill. He is arguably, if not the best catcher, one of the best catchers in baseball. And a large part of that has to do with going to Milwaukee and developing defensively. But when he was here in Atlanta, guys didn't want to throw to him. That is why he was traded from Atlanta. He could not catch. And Drake Baldwin, I'm reeling it back, meaning his offensive stats at this point in their career are better than William Contreras. Small sample size, I don't care. He is already way better behind the dish than William Contreras was to this point in their careers. We've got two of the best catchers in baseball already. And again, you said it, pitchers might catch up. I am ready. I don't care. I do not care because he does so many. He would have to, even if he went through a slump hitting wise, he would have to stop taking his walks, which is such a big part of his game. He's willing to take his walks. He just does everything well with the stick.
Well, he doesn't strike out.
Yeah.
Like that's the biggest thing. Like, he had more walks than strikeouts last year in Gwinnett. He has 13 strikeouts this year. That's like a week worse for half of the Braves lineup. Like, and I know he's not playing every single day, but it's true. Like he doesn't.
That's a series for
Yeah,
Ozzy.
yeah, he doesn't go out there and strike out. And when you don't strike out, it's a lot easier to hit for average. Like, and you're willing to take and his plate discipline is elite. And like, I can't see a scenario, and maybe he slumps and it gets in a funk and it becomes a little worse. But that's kind of a trait that you have. Like Ozzy Albies has never had it.
Right.
Michael Harris has never had it.
Drake Matt Olson's slumps are okay because he'll occasionally still hit a bomb and still take his walk.
Those kind of things usually get better with time, not worse. So Drake Ball, like I'm with you. Like I know a lot of people are hesitant, but I'm not. And even if he does go through an inevitable struggling patch and stuff like that, if he goes out there and hits somewhere between 270 and 300 with 25 homers, 30 homers or something like that, you need to have that guy in there every single day, and they got to find a position for him to play.
What's even
and
crazier
left field's the only spot.
One thing we haven't even talked about, I just want to say really quickly, is he's doing all of this up until just this past series without any regular playing time. They just throw him in the lineup whenever, and he's still producing this. That's crazy.
Which is ridiculous. I mean, he's astounding, and they've got to figure out a role for him. And right now, left field is the only spot. Wouldn't be shocked if we see that at some point this season. A lot to talk about after the break, starting with Ronald Acuña making his way back in his first rehab assignment. Big day for the Braves. Not only did they get to 500, not only is Drake Baldwin looking like a superstar behind the plate, but Ronald Acuña made his highly anticipated debut. And things, I will say, have taken a massive turn in a positive direction. Like, I think a lot of Braves fans are running, all right, when is this going to happen? How long is this going to take? When are you going to get back? And then he goes out there, and not only is he not just like DHing, he's out in the field for 6 innings. I mean, first day back out in the field. So it kind of seems like the Braves were waiting till he was 175%, let's say, before letting him out there. He was out there and he hits a home run, happy, smiling. Think about the people that he was playing
on the FCL.
Right? Yeah, but you guys think about who he's playing with, right? The FCL is usually your 16, 17, 18-year-old international prospects. You know who their biggest, like, having a day with Ronald Acuña? Like, this is a dream for him. And he was treating them like people, like teammates. And getting excited. And it was smiles ear for ear. And you obviously have the home run, which everyone's going to talk about. But I don't think this rehab assignment, he's going to join Gwinnett on Thursday, is going to be very long. I mean, like, it'll be 2 weeks, I believe. Very, very standard. It looks like he'll play 9 innings probably in a few days. And once he does that in a couple days in a row, I mean, it's go time.
Yeah, and Strider's right there with him. I mean, we're welcoming back our 2 best players. And obviously, competition level aside, the one thing that I think everybody was concerned about with Acuña coming back is the power. That was what was, missing from that first ACL surgery he's still hitting 270 or maybe he was a little bit down from his career average, but he was still well above average hitter contact wise. But it was that power. His power had just virtually disappeared. And I think, that is the one thing that's going to separate him distinguish this time versus last time. And obviously the Braves are hoping that is going to be a factor, because this is a guy, who has got that, profound impact on everybody else in the clubhouse, where, we still got some of the best players in baseball. But when you have the best player in baseball, it makes everybody better. And it's a trickle down effect. And it's not just the lineup. It's guys, on the mound who maybe are trusting a little bit more that they can go and do some, push the envelope because they are trusting their offense. The offense is going to pick me up. And they're not going to throw Ronald Acuña Jr. out there in the outfield unless they're sure that he can make some plays. And that guy in the outfield, first of all, his arm, is absolutely unbelievable. That didn't tear an ACL. So it's going to have a profound effect. And that doesn't even talk about, the intangible aspect in the locker room, everybody loosening up a little bit. I don't have to press in the box. Matt Olson, I can take my walks. Austin Riley. I know that some guys, Sean Murphy, Drake Baldwin's emerging. Like, everybody's going to get better by Ronald Acuña Jr. rejoining Atlanta.
Yeah, the saying "hitting is contagious" couldn't ring more true. It is a saying for a reason, and there is a reason why, as we've said several times, this team is 150 games over 500 or whatever it is over their last 300 games with Ronald Acuña in the lineup. and they are under 500 without him. And all of these guys that were having career years with the NL MVP in the lineup have kind of staggered off. Like, there's a reason for that. I'm not going to say they're all going to come back and start hitting like MVPs and Matt Olson's going to have 50 homers, but I guarantee you he's going to be better. I guarantee you everyone's going to be better. I guarantee you move Michael Harris to the 9 hole. Yeah, and all of a sudden that's a scary damn hitter hitting 9th in your lineup again. So I think all of that stuff is definitely going to play a huge factor. And I want to ask you one question. Is there anyone that is kind of disappointed in how they carried themselves on the radio more than Jeff Francoeur and all of the stuff he is saying? Because one, Ronald Acuña, if he comes back healthy, all of those things that he said are going to be proven false because they are going to be better significantly and everyone's going to be better. But just look at the way Acuña was carrying himself with those 16, 17, and 8-year-old kids with nobody in the – I mean, he's just a lovable guy. I know he does some things that will piss people off in the national media that aren't around this clubhouse that often. He is a lovable guy, and Dansby Swanson even took to his defense. We didn't talk about it on this show, but basically said Acuña was there throughout that 2021 World Series run in the clubhouse, keeping everyone hyped up. Like, he played a big role in that. Like, he's a good dude and a good teammate. Anyone just wish they just didn't say anything more than Jeff Francoeur?
I mean, if you don't love Ronald Acuña Jr., it's a you thing. It's a you problem. It's a, something going on in your life or your perspective, or you're trying to, be Jeff Francoeur and defend Brian Snitker because you feel some type of way that, this story made Brian Snitker look bad. And the reality is that Ronald Acuña Jr. loves the game of baseball as much, if not more than anybody. And all it ever is passion. It has nothing to do with the fact that he wants to disrespect the game. I posted his home run on our social medias. We're all over Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, SportsTalkATL. I can't believe some of the comments. I can't believe some of the comments. Him pimping that home run, it just doesn't sit well with me. The way he disrespects the game. He grew up where the game is a party. In Venezuela, games are parties. Games are supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be this buttoned-up bullcrap that you like from 1920 in America. The game has evolved, and you know what? It's better for it. I just can't believe there are some people out there who still don't like Ronald Acuña Jr.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
My grandpa's rolling over his grave trying to give me a reason why. Oh, I don't really trust Acuña.
Those neon elbow pads.
Yeah.
Really,
it doesn't matter that he hit 42. You're never going to win a World Series wearing that. You're never going to win a World Series like
Babe Ruth used to, Hank Aaron used to.
Yeah, back in my days, we used all the players used to smoke 37 cigarettes in a game. Yeah. Ronald Acuña could have never accomplished what Babe Ruth.
He could if he wanted to. Ronald Acuña can do literally anything. I mean, the kid's a freak. I don't understand why. Yeah. And some people listening to this might be like, oh, this guy's just embellishing. Go look at our TikToks. Go look at our Facebooks. And there will be people who you cannot believe their comments are negative about all it was a home run.
First home run back in a calendar year.
And people are losing their minds.
With a bunch of kids.
If you ever needed a reason to be like, okay, they're just crazy people out there, this is it.
Yeah. I mean, just check out our Facebook page on anything, especially if it has to do with Ronald Acuña Jr. A lot to talk about after the break. Falcons, 2025 primetime games. They're going to have a few of them. Yesterday, we officially found out that the Atlanta Falcons will be traveling to Berlin for the first ever regular season game against the Colts in Berlin. Today, we found out via Zach Klein, not official, but Zach Klein, very, very plugged in when it comes to the Falcons. I don't think he's missed much of anything, to my knowledge. Says we're going to have 4 primetime games this season, making it basically 5 primetime games. A lot of primetime games for a team that is projected to win 7.5 games from Vegas.
Yeah, we were under 500 last year.
I mean, been under 500 for 7 years.
But last year, we had 4 primetime games initially because we signed Kirk Cousins, and they expected us to be playoff contenders. I think they were right. We were 6-3, and then the collapse happened, and then we ended up with 5 because that Commanders and Falcons Week 17 matchup was flexed, Jane Daniels versus Michael Penix, and they did not disappoint. That was a great showing. And obviously, the NFL is still buying what Michael Penix is selling, because make no mistake about it. It ain't Raheem Morris. It ain't Arthur Blank. It's not us fans filling out Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It's not Freddie the Falcon. It's not any of our other guys. It's not Jalen Walker. It's not James Stewart. It's one guy that is garnering these primetime slots, and it is Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah, and I mean, truthfully, when you really break it out that way, because you're 100% correct. I mean, listen, Bijan Robinson, people
They're
love
draws,
him,
but not.
but they're not enough to get you a primetime game. I mean, hell, we had Bijan Robinson, we had no primetime games. So as good as they are a draw, it's all about the quarterback position. It's all about Michael Penix, and you could literally narrow it down to the fact that they flexed that game against Jaden Daniels, and it was such a good game. And Michael Penix showed so much that the NFL was like, yeah, we can have
Good decision.
Yep, let's do a little bit more of that coming up next season. It really was that simple.
And then the season finale against Carolina, toe-to-toe. I mean, that is the kind of ratings the NFL was like, ooh, yeah. And it might even be better that we're projected to win 7.5 games. That's the Vegas win total, is that maybe they're like, defense sucks. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of Michael Penix. The games are, I don't even know if we said it, the games are, as of right now, we're going to San Fran, we're going to Minnesota. So against the 49ers and Vikings on the road, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football at home, Bills and Rams. Josh Allen, Michael Penix, and Matt Stafford. I'm going to go to that Bills game. I mean, even if I have to sell a kidney, I've never seen Josh Allen play. He's one of the guys you do want to see play in this league. I mean, that feels like it's got all the makings to, be one of those back and forth because we get that turf. I mean, the Bills play outdoor stadium. They deal with the weather and they still score a lot of points. When they get indoors, they score even more points, and we're all hopeful Michael Penix is going to put up some points.
And you said at Vikings.
At Vikings, at 49ers.
Interesting. At Vikings there.
Maybe we'll be squaring off against Kirk.
That's that's what I'm saying. Like, it would be extreme for a number of reasons.
The NFL is so devilish when they do this.
You don't think that they know that there's a possibility if anybody were to turn to Kirk Cousins, the Vikings would have to be the short list of actual potential suitors. And it's a long shot, but there is a scenario where that could work out. And that turns out to be the Kirk Cousins versus the Atlanta Falcons revenge game. Or let's say nobody trades for him. Kirk Cousins is still sitting on the sidelines going into Minnesota.
I mean, either way, it's a win-win. The NFL knows what's
going on. Exactly. I mean, that was totally, but 5 primetime games, Michael Penix. How about the over-under at 7.5? Because I saw that several times today about them having the primetime games. I know I'm going to sound like such a homer and the same song and dance every single year. Same song and dance every single year, but I swear to God, that's too low. We are winning 8 games at least this year.
I hope so.
We got at least 8 wins under the belt this year. I mean, even if, right, let's say the defense gets better. You obviously like what you have on the offensive side of the ball. Michael Penix, we think, is going to be a very, very good quarterback. If all those things come to fruition, that number's hit easily. There's a good chance Kirk Cousins is the backup. Even if some sort of injury arises, which I don't want to wish on anyone, like, you're still not in a terrible shape to win 8 games if Kirk Cousins is healthy under center.
I think most of that has to do with the fact that
he's a rookie.
I think he's a rookie, and a lot of people, including myself, are just glossing over the fact that Jaden Daniels' rookie campaigns, they don't happen too often. And though Michael Penix sat behind a veteran in Kirk Cousins, and he does have a little bit of experience, he is still a rookie. There will be inevitable humps. I think for all the flash plays that we do remember from Carolina and Washington late in those games, there was a lot of erratic throws. He does have a rocket arm that sometimes will sail on him. Those things maybe we are glossing over. And the fact that we talked about it with Drake Baldwin, defenses will catch up to Michael Penix. And, you face a guy like Jesse Bates on the other end who's playing chess while you're playing checkers, he's going to make you look dumb. I think an overlooked factor of the Falcons' defense isn't the pass rush. We don't get a big, fat glob of person in the middle of that defense. We are going to have the ball ran all over us. And those teams that I just mentioned in primetime, San Fran, they can run the damn ball. Vikings can run the damn ball. The Rams can run the damn ball. All of those Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan trees. And the Bills, while they might not have, that Shanahan-style offense, they got a pretty damn good running back and a quarterback who can run the damn ball.
Yeah, and a coordinator who has committed to running the ball over the last 2 seasons. That's been a big part of the Bills' offense. I just want to push back a little bit on the notion that Michael Penix, because everyone's like, okay, Jaden Daniels, not everyone's going to be Jaden Daniels. But it does feel like, at least in the last 10 years, we've seen a ton of young quarterbacks come in and have relatively immediate success.
I'm just saying what they're saying.
No, I agree.
Because Michael Penix has a way better supporting cast than Jaden Daniels did last year. way better.
I mean, you just think about Joe Burrow, CJ Stroud, like those guys came in and had a ton of immediate success. And that didn't used to be the case. It used to be a dime a dozen, but it does feel like more.
Dumbed down offenses. I mean, offenses have gone from Peyton Manning-esque to John Gruden. The play calls are this long to, Cliff Kingsbury is basically running
and it's become
offense.
a lot harder to play defense.
Yes.
And the league is focused on offense, and defenses aren't
all the
nearly
best
as good.
Players in high school are playing wide receiver.
Yeah, no,
so
I completely, but I think it is like, I think there's a good chance, if Penix, what we saw last year,
7.5 does feel low.
Yeah, we're going over that. I'm tired of you, Vegas. We're
We're
beating the books this year, finally. We talked a lot about the Atlanta Hawks offseason. It is going to be an exciting one. There will be splashes. There will be something worthy getting excited about, which hasn't happened a lot in Atlanta Hawks basketball history. But one thing we haven't discussed a lot is the potential of Trey Young getting traded. And the reason we haven't discussed it is because Trey Young said he wants to be here. We obviously want Trey Young here. He's done everything the organization has asked him, has matured into a leader, and now he wants to be here. We couldn't have ever imagined being in this position this time last year when it looked like we could be looking at being forced to trade him. We're not in that position. But is there still a scenario where maybe we still feel it's best to move on in the best of our interests? Well, this trade from Clutch Points is very intriguing to kind of paint a scenario that might exist. The Rockets receive Trae Young. The Hawks receive Fred VanVleet, who is on an expiring deal. Reed Shepherd, a 2025 first-round pick via the Suns, 2027 first-round pick via the Suns, and a 2028 first-round pick, top 4 projected. So 3 first-round picks, all could be inside the top 5. Hypothetically, Fred VanVleet kind of keeps you afloat to where you can still be a playoff caliber team if you're fully healthy and make some good moves. And Reed Shepherd is a former top 5 pick that really didn't get playing time that people are still really high on. That's basically 4 first-round picks, potentially 4 top 5 picks, and Fred VanVleet for Trey Young. That's a deal that even as a Trey Young absolute supporter, I think we both are, I would be seriously considering.
I think you would be doing a disservice to the Hawks organization, whoever the president of basketball operation is in Ansi Sala, of not at least mulling that offer over and kind of weighing, what we do and what we don't do. Because you're right. I mean, Reed Shepherd, I thought there was a potential the Hawks drafted him number 1 overall. And now obviously that looks silly to say in hindsight because he couldn't even crack the Rockets rotation. And Zachary Rizachet looks like a budding piece of this Hawks team. I think, what has to be taken into account that Houston had a loaded rotation. It was one of the deeper teams. Reed Shepherd just couldn't, figure his way into it. He still has immense potential. He's one of those combo guards that I think could play a long time in this league because he's a sharpshooter. And, while, he might not have the size, that kid is a demon defensively. Like, when he was at college, he was a demon defensively. He made up for the size with tenacity. And then obviously the real draw is those first-round picks that if the Suns blow up, and most expect at least one of Devin Booker and Kevin Durant to be traded. I would be so shocked if they traded Devin Booker because they don't own their first-round picks. It would be pretty foolish to do that. Even still, I mean, Devin Booker has an injury, and God forbid I love Devin Booker. I mean, they're right back there in the lottery. That 2027 could really be valuable. 2025, could be a toss-up. It could be the middle of the first round. Devin Booker is still a superstar in this league. Make no mistake about it. They're willing to spend money, so they'll probably put a competitive team. But 2027, that has the potential to be an absolutely like a crown jewel because at that point, they might be like, all right, this is clearly not working.
Well, I mean, let's just put it simply, guys. There's nothing guaranteed in the Western Conference. I mean, we just watched a team that went to the NBA Finals now as the number 1 overall pick. The Suns didn't even make the playoffs. So yeah, it shouldn't have happened. But the Hawks were a team that was in the play-in as well that went and got the number 1 overall pick.
And you put Fred VanVleet on this team and you replace him with Trey Young, and Fred VanVleet is not Trey Young. That's why the Rockets want Trey Young. Trey Young's ceiling is much higher than Fred VanVleet, and he's younger. With the Houston, we would still be very competitive in the Eastern Conference with a future outlook that you could get really excited about on top of perhaps whatever the 13th and 22nd overall picks bring you this year.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to think about it.
I mean, the amount of flexibility you would have with all of those.
We would go from negative assets to positive
with
assets.
all of those first round picks now in your cupboard, plus the 2 first round picks that you have right now. And then Fred VanVleet, yeah, he comes and he plays for you for a year. Well, he's a free agent.
Sign him to another.
You could sign him.
Yeah.
You could move on. You could go after whoever you want. You have a bunch of money. I mean, the financial flexibility. And one thing I'll mention about Reed Sheppard, there was a guy who didn't get much playing time and wasn't very good for his previous team that the Hawks traded for, and Dyson Daniels. And he turned out to be pretty good. So don't just say, or don't just count Reed Sheppard out.
He's a 3rd overall pick for a reason.
Yeah, don't just count.
This guy's not a bum.
Yeah, don't just.
And he lit the G League on fire.
Yeah, to me, I'll be honest. When I looked at that trade, I was, I wouldn't even hang up the phone and be like, let's get this deal done right now. And I love Trey Young, which means it was probably too much. I can't imagine anyone's actually offering that. But if
the Rockets have all of the pieces, they don't need more pieces. They expected Jalen Green to take this. Like from the Rockets' point of view, Trey Young gets you to a place where you do now have a superstar, a star that has performed in the playoffs. He has taken a way worse Hawks team compared to this Rockets team to the Eastern Conference Final. You want to talk about a team built to surround Trey Young? It's the Rockets. They're all tall. They're all long. They can all defend. They're all can shoot. Like, this is a Rockets team that might be a Trey Young away from competing in a completely loaded West.
No, I completely agree. I mean, I think the Rockets are a good fit.
I would be a Rockets fan
because they're so damn good defensively that they can make up for the defensive warts. And if you watched what they couldn't do, it was score consistently. Yes. And Trey Young is going to be the engine for that entire offense. He's shown he can literally carry an offense basically by himself. He could do that in Houston. So I understand it as far as team fits. We got a little more coming up after the break.